Hi and welcome back to my channel Starry Address. I'm Payal, and in this video we'll talk about the combinations of late marriage in a birth chart as per Parashari and Nadi Jyotish. If you have a question related to the timing of your marriage, you can comment down the placements that you have in your birth chart, and we can look at those combinations together. We can discuss them in the comments, or if you would like to speed things up, you can book a full private astrology consultation with me by going to www.starryaddress.com. I actually charge a very small fee for the consultation, and it has helped a lot of people. It just makes sense to put a price to the consultation, because otherwise people don't take it seriously. So having said that, let's get started with today's video, which is basically on the combinations of late marriage in your birth chart. You can obviously also discuss if you have any of these combinations and how has the timing of marriage impacted in your case. I would love to understand different charts, different perspectives, but from my experience, the combinations that I'm going to share are almost 100% accurate, unless there are any cancellations or any other things in your chart that support or cancel them. These things hold true. Do not forget to like this video, share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. This will encourage me to make more content for you on this channel. So let's get started. Basically, in your birth chart, you have houses, and the seventh house is the house that is most crucial for marriage, although there are other things to look at as well. So let's start with the seventh house and the seventh lord first. Basically, any affliction on the seventh house or the seventh lord is the number one cause for delay in marriage, and even breaking up of a marriage, like divorces, etc. But that we'll discuss in another video. This video is specifically on the delay in marriage part. The number one cause of delay in marriage, in my opinion, is Saturn. Saturn sitting in the seventh house. Now note that it is possible that you have Saturn sitting in the seventh house, though just this combination is enough to cause delay in marriage. But as I said, if there are any other cancellations or any other benefic aspects, then sometimes this gets mitigated. But in my opinion, just Saturn sitting in the seventh house is enough to cause delays and challenges in marriage. However, I will actually make a full video on Saturn in seventh house because it is a very interesting placement. There are some positives to this placement as well. Not going to go into those details right now, but not to scare you, Saturn in the seventh house can also be a blessing for marriage, but it does cause delays. So this is basically the first condition. If you have Saturn in the seventh house, delays and challenges in marriage are likely. There are other things as well associated to this placement. We're not going to discuss them right now. The second thing is that the lord of the seventh house itself, if it is Saturn, so basically Cancer individuals and Leo individuals have, basically Cancer and Leo Lagna, have a very higher chance of getting married late in life, because Saturn rules their seventh house. Saturn is the lord that dictates how marriage would be for them. So, well, all Lagnas have some peculiarities, some benefic aspects to their personality, etc. For Cancer and Leo individuals, Saturn, since it is the Karka, Saturn, since it is the lord of the seventh house, it does cause like challenge, especially if it goes in, let's say, if it makes other placements. We'll discuss those as well. But yeah, and if you are a Leo or a Cancer individual, do comment down how was the marriage timing for your in your case. The other thing is that for Cancer Lagna specifically, since Saturn also rules their eighth house, that becomes even more important for them, because Saturn also rules the house that governs joint assets, intimacy, and in-laws. So basically for Cancer individuals, this is like a double whammy. But anyway, so Saturn sitting in the seventh house, Saturn also being the ruler of the seventh house. Seventh house is very important. Any afflictions other than Saturn could be Ketu and Rahu sitting in the seventh house. Although sometimes this does not cause delays specifically, but it gives a very unconventional and very bizarre touch to the marriage. So it's possible that if you have Rahu and Ketu in the 1 and 7 axis, the marriage itself is delayed, or it gets like a little unorthodox. It goes basically um, slightly in a different route to how traditional marriages work. And one way traditional marriages work is through marrying at the right time, at the right age, as per the community standards that we have. And Rahu and Ketu basically delineate you from that. So Rahu and Ketu, although not necessarily imply late marriage, but they do cause some weird circumstances or some situations that, if there are other conditions to support late marriage, they become a factor as well. The other thing is Mars in the seventh house. Now, this is not exactly late marriage, but what Mars will do is it will give you like a warrior like environment in the seventh house. So you tend to fight a lot in the relationships. You tend to have a lot of arguments, and that sometimes will cause delays, because you will form a partnership, but then there will be lots of fights, there will be lots of conflicts, and that will basically make the marriage either delayed or very, very challenging. So again, malefics sitting in the seventh house, but especially Saturn. The other malefics, as I explained, are not exactly the precursors for making the marriage late, but there are like other angles to it. But obviously, the whole chart has to be read as well. Just looking at these aspects and getting scared, or making up your mind about something is not cool. This is just like basically just like a general feature that I'm discussing, that the classic textbooks say about marriage, timing of marriage. So let's move on. The other thing is that, as I said, seventh lord being Saturn. However, there are other things as well. Now, Saturn, let's say, is not the seventh lord, but the seventh lord goes in a Dushtasthana, let's say, 6th, 8th, 12th, but also sometimes third. Again, third house is not that bad, but it does give you like efforts and challenges. So if other things support late marriage, then this becomes on like an added thing to it. So seventh lord going in a Dushtasthana is another combination for late marriage. The other thing is that seventh lord or seventh house basically get afflicted. So Saturn's aspect is there on the seventh house, or the seventh lord, or both, and Mars or Ketu's aspect is also there. So that also becomes important. After that, we will see the dignity of the seventh lord. So let's say aspect by malefics is one thing, but let's say it gets combust seventh lord again, is like an added thing for not feeling the full results of marriage. And that sometimes is because you get married so late that you do not enjoy the full happiness from marriage. So combustion of the seventh lord is again one aspect that we have to consider for late marriage. Then we look at the karakas for marriage. In a man's case, Venus is the number one significator. So Venus, if it is afflicted, let's say if it is in Virgo, the sign of Virgo, that is the number one affliction. Then if it is in a Dushtasthana, again 6th, 8th, 12th, causes delays, causes dissatisfaction, causes challenges, delays, all of that. Then Venus itself sitting with Saturn, although it is a good placement for other aspects, but in marriage it can cause delays, or it can also make you get married to like a person who is older than you. More on that in another video. The other thing is that for women, Jupiter is important, and if Jupiter has an aspect of Saturn, or if it is sitting with Saturn, then it causes delays. Also Mars for women. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn combination, with Saturn being there in any of those combinations, is again a very solid indicator for late marriage. The other thing, the less important things, now let's say all of these things are there, 4 or 5 things are there in your chart that I already discussed. On top of it, if let's say Lagna Lord or 7th Lord is also retrograde, then what would that mean? That there will be lots of learnings, do-overs, and that sometimes causes delays, because if you're doing things again and again, then you are reaching to from point A to B in longer time. So that sometimes indicates delay in marriage and delay in self-learning through marriage. So let's say your 7th lord is sitting in the first house and it is retrograde. So that means that there is lots of learning, lots of do-overs when it comes to learning from relationships, and that sometimes means that there will be marriage that is later in life. And actually, in some situations that I have discussed, getting married late is actually beneficial for the chart, but we'll have to obviously see, because sometimes, due to other external forces, you force yourself into marriage. You don't want to get married. There is late marriage in your chart, but then something happens, and then you just force yourself, because astrology does not overpower free will. I will tell you that there is late marriage in your chart, but then you decide, okay, I'm not going to believe that, and I'm going to get married anyway. That actually will cause you problems. That I've seen in my personal view, that if that happens, that sometimes, I don't want to discuss those things, but that is not good for the marriage. But let's stick ourselves to the combinations for late marriage. The other thing that causes late marriage is the same aspects that I discussed in D1 Lagna chart also are reflecting in the Navamsa or D9 chart. That becomes like a solid proof that this is going to happen. This is like a confirmation that we see from Navamsa. So let's say in Navamsa also you have seventh house um, afflicted with Saturn or Rahu and Ketu. So let's say you have, and the combinations you have to look at, like the patterns, not the exact placements. So let's say you have Rahu Ketu in the first seventh in the D1, and then you have Ketu Rahu in the Navamsha. So that is actually a confirmation in itself. Then you have to look at the sign of Libra in your chart. So let's say Libra is anywhere in your chart. It is in the 11th house or 12th house, wherever, and that is also afflicted. So it is a lesser degree affliction, the sign of Libra, anywhere in your birth chart, but again it becomes as a added factor to the placements that I already discussed. Finally, I want to add that your dasha is very important. So you might actually get the dasha for marriage, etc., slightly later in life. That is a very, I would say, less, prominent thing that we look. But if other things in the chart support that, then that becomes again like a factor when you're looking into the timing of marriage. So I hope you found this video useful. These are probably all the combinations that we look at when we look at a delay in marriage. I'm not here to comment on the right and wrong part of the timing of marriage. That is not my job. For some people, getting married late is actually the right thing. They want to focus on their career, they want to focus on other things in life. And for some people, they want to get married, but they do not find the right partner in that age. So whatever the reason, your wish or external factors, that is not my job to comment if getting married late is a good thing or a bad thing. It's just that sometimes things are reflecting in your chart. That is your pending karma. That is the things that you have to face in life. We all have like good and bad things. We all have like weaknesses and strengths. So not here to comment on the good and bad part of it. Also, some people get married very, very early, like in early 20s. So if that works for them, it works for them. But again, as I said, sometimes astrologers, we are asked that should we get married, should we just avoid marriage completely. So I'm like very clear on that part. I never tell somebody that you should get married or you shouldn't get married. I just tell them the timing of the marriage and when is at what time, if they get married, they would be the most joyous, that would be the most benefic thing for them. That is the extent of my help to you. If you would like to understand the timing of marriage, I can help you with that. I can tell you when you will possibly get married if you have a late marriage in your chart. How would your spouse be when you get married? So all of these things we can predict from astrology. We can predict more, but that would be my extent of help to you. So that is that. I hope you found this video useful. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Also like and share this video with people who believe in Vedic astrology and you think can benefit from that. I hope to see you in another video on Stadia Dress. Bye for now.